let's move on to 7 Minutes in Heaven.
Well, if you don't remember, if you've never seen this show, you just kind of had to made it to the season finale. 7 Minutes in Heaven was where we talk about the best scenes in the film. It makes us feel like we're in heaven for 7 minutes. It makes you feel like you're a little kid doing something you shouldn't supposed to do. So anything should take you back to that moment where you're a kid feeling really good and just free, naively free. It's 7 minutes in heaven. So Dave, why don't you lead us off?
My first favorite scene is in the diner. Not gonna have any toothpicks. Definitely not gonna have my maple syrup. It's gonna be late. Like that all the way to the number 18 in 1988, squeezed and pulled and hurt my neck. It was such a humorous scene, but it also that was a scene that solidified for me how much of an asshole Charlie is. The fact that he's totally impatient with his brother, who he knows has a disability. He doesn't cater to it for a second, and that's the scene where he actually calls him an fucking R word, and screams it into his ear. Yes.
Frowned upon on this show.
And you could see it in his eyes how much of how selfish he is and how he's always looking out for himself. When he realizes, you could see the wheels turning in Charlie's head as soon as he realizes that Raymond memorized the whole phone book. You could see it working like, okay, he's not a complete dumbass. How can I use this?
How far did he get?
G's.
Nope. But specifically
the middle of the G's. And the names that he landed on were actually his real life in-laws.
Triple points for you. One of the things, here's the thing. I'll say this. They played up Charlie as rightfully so from the beginning. Like they said, everything the tone. You mentioned earlier that we didn't see Dustin Hoffman until 19 minutes in. But one of the things that I want to say that one of the best scenes in the film to me, to like, it really was one of my top 3 scenes, but I am going to lead with it because I don't want to forget it later, and I feel like it deserves to lead, is the bathroom scene with the where Raymond goes and gets the picture of him and his father, and Charlie's like, where'd you get this from? Like, to me, it was at that moment, it's not that, like you said, it wasn't that Charlie had this, he woke up, I'm the best brother in the world, but if there was any soul inside of him, it started to churn at that moment to see like there was a change in him. Let me take the back. It wasn't a change. There was just a level up of he's not the ultimate asshole now. He's just a jerk now. He has a brother, but
that was the moment that he was finally able to make that connection that Raymond
was the one that was singing to him,
and he was all of a sudden able to connect all those memories that he had.
You heard Raymond, but it was Raymond, and
so he was able to connect all these memories that he had with what he thought was an imaginary friend. So now all of a sudden he has all these memories of his brother. Not to mention, he's also witnessing the fact that his brother remembers him, so now it's real. Now it's not just
he had been remembering that from the beginning. He this car, this, that, and the other.
He knew the car, he knew the dad, but that was the first time that he referenced, you thought it was funny with the toothpaste, and I would sing to you, at that point, I think it started
to me.
And you could see that's actually I've got that as one of my favorite scenes too, the Rain Man scene when he realizes that it was an imaginary friend, and you could see him changing subtly because it's that night that he actually calls Susanna and tries to patch things up with her and actually is apologetic for the first time and is actually listening. So yeah, that was a fantastic scene. And there was I read that Dustin Hoffman did not know he was frustrated during shooting that because he just didn't know how to play that part. He didn't know how to perform. He didn't.
But he did magnificently. And let me tell you why. Because here's the thing, that was one of the first times we saw that he was really being a big brother to Charlie. He was like, something must have happened. Like, he remembers something like, baby, hot water burned the baby.
I never caught that when I was watching it until I watched it last night. That part when after the fact, when they're back in the room and he's like, I gotta go to Walbrook. And that's where Charlie realizes that's why they sent you away. So he's been jealous of this guy. Charlie has been jealous of Raymond for having the dad's favor, getting the dad's money. And at that moment, he realized that at least one time in his life, his parents chose him over, ultimately, his parents chose Charlie over Raymond because they sent Raymond away purely because they were under the impression that it was not safe for him to be around Charlie. And I think that was a turning moment for Charlie as well, to know that, because that had to patch something up emotionally with everything that's going on internally with his dad, all the complication there.
That's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to top that. So the only way I can top that is by saying something that you said earlier when you said Forrest Gump. Again, a lot. I just feel like a lot of films maybe not.
I'm sorry. One more thing about that hotel scene. That was all shot in one take. And Dustin Hoffman, being frustrated with not knowing how to bring that to life, he channeled that frustration into the anxiety, the hot water burn, baby. He just let it all out, and it was all that everything in that room was shot in one take.
Now that's amazing. That's truly what happened. I cannot say that nothing short of that's amazing. One of the things I wanted to bring up that you mentioned earlier was the Forrest Gump thing. To me, we all remember the scene from Forrest Gump. He's like, "Your mama sure do care about your schooling." Yeah. And then when I'm doing the deep dive and doing the rewatch, I'm like, "Oh, shit." He like, and he just comes and sits on the bed, the reverse cuckold. Yeah, he's not even going to watch. He just wants to sit there and know what's going on behind him while watching TV.
Yeah, what are you doing? I'm just. Well, get out!
Get out, Ray.
Man, when it cuts to him walking back to his room and sitting there, it's so sad. Like, I feel Susanna. And everything that Susanna says to Charlie in that hotel room that night is so dead on about,
I still blame her. Why didn't she know there was two men moans going on there? Is that normal for her?
She was in the moment.
Right. Had she been in that moment where she's heard two men moaning? You can't distinguish one man from two men moaning?
I don't know.
I mean, ask Susanna.
Hey, yeah, I will. If she wants to talk, we'll talk. Scenes. Okay, yeah. So, what difference does it make where you buy your underwear? Underwear is underwear. I think this autism thing is a bunch of bullshit. You are in there somewhere. Boxer shorts. After that's like Tom Cruise's flip out in front of the car after he's Oak and Burnett, 400 Oak Street, Cincinnati, Kmart. Oh, we're getting further away from Kmart. All that is great. Tom Cruise's flip out in front of the car is great. But the funniest part to me about all that is Tom Cruise is bleeding his soul out on the road. His frustrations, just airing them out. And Raymond is still in his own little world. Because after, I think this autism thing is a bunch of bullshit. You're in there somewhere. Boxer shorts. That's his... He's still in the car going on about the f***ing Kmart.
This is my thing, and like you said, that freak out on the highways. I really felt like that borderline when the actor's frustrated with another actor. I'm like, all right, is he truly?
Yeah. That must have been the day Dustin Hoffman had everybody out of his trailer chanting from the car.
Tom. Shout out to the punch-in shot on the watch, the Rollie, when he goes to pawn it. He pawns the Rollie.
Never noticed that as a kid either.
Me neither.
I did not know what that meant. Or he's taking his watch off. He's walking into a pawn shop.
What's
what
he
is
doing?
that?
Is he finna beat someone up?
Stupid little innocent child me had no idea about the pawn
shot. Kids, that's a punch-in shot. If anybody's listening out there, so. But now as an adult, you're like, oh, I know what it's like to have to.
I was like, oh man,
I thought he was giving blood.
It's rough. Okay, I know where he's at.
He's down to his last.
Yeah.
So he goes in there. They get some money. They go buy the suits. They go to the tailor. They go buy the suits. They get the nice suits. Everybody looks nice. And so this is my point. This is either arrogance on the part of the filmmaker or a mistake. Either way, I'm just glad that I know that I'm right in the scenario. They go like, is everything I said correct? He pawns the watch. They get money. They go to the tailor. They get the suits. They go to the casino. They come down the escalator. That was all facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
The shot of them coming down the casino, when you look at their pants, Tom Cruise's pants is tailored to the T, but Hoffman's pants, Raymond's pants, it still looks clowny. They went to the tailor. There's no way his pants should have still been clowny. This would have been a one time to be like, oh, he's super sharp, but still to convey in our minds visually that he was still an autistic savant.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make the pants that way.
That's true, or maybe Charlie was stingy with the money. And it's like, get my pants right.
Yeah, just lost
his pants. He doesn't even notice. He's answering a question from 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, maybe, but no, he was just too excited for his brother at that point. That was the one time he was more proud of his brother when he found out he could use him the most
Yeah,
ever in his life.
exactly.
So he would have got him too. I just really think that was a mistake, so I really think they had to meet like, man, the continuity. I want this fucking clown coming down the stairs, and I mean clown. Like they want us to see a version of that, so
That-
what do you think about that?
what I just said. That I think that Charlie was still looking out for himself, got himself the good pants, and gave Raymond just whatever. Because that scene's on my list too. And
Like you don't need to be taping them up down there, just right here, on
yeah,
the shoulders.
yeah. That scene was. Because you have the scene in the hotel right before that, or shortly before that, and you think like, all right, Charlie's taking some steps forward, he's getting better, and the next scene, he's taking advantage of his brother in Vegas to win a bunch of money, but it's really not that simple. Like if you notice, he's on the phone on the payphone, son of a bitch, son
Oh,
of
yo.
a.
Oh, yeah, he's losing it.
That I never really I never appreciated the gravity of his situation until I rewatched it as an adult. The fact that
Charlie, we had to sell the cars to pay the loan back.
everything and that's kind of the dilemma in life is it's always this push and pull of wanting to be the best person you can be, but then you're always having to navigate that within the circumstances that life delivers to you. So it goes back to that realistic growth, that realistic character growth that this movie has, because you see Charlie take a few steps forward in the hotel when he realizes that his brother is Rain Man, but then here comes life. No, Charlie, you're you don't have any money, you're completely broke. So what does Charlie do? He is an opportunist, and he's got
At every turn.
Mm-hmm. So he took his brother, and that's why I think when it goes back to that first Vegas shot when they're pulling into Vegas originally, it's downplayed. It's almost like it's like a premonition that this is not a celebratory event that's about to transpire here. It's.
I think out of everything that Charlie did, I think the first genuine moment we really catch from him really showing his brother any love is the moment. It's like when they're about to go to sleep and he's like, I had to pee first. I had them set the bed right up there by the window like you like it in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I'll teach you how to dance some other time. He's like, no, now. And then the clock with 10 o'clock. He's like,
I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Right, you got the most famous dancing escort in Dade Town, whatever. So he teaches him how to dance. And so to some semblance, it plays up Miss Susan coming back, Susanna come back in town. He was like, yeah, Charlie Babbitt taught me how to dance. She's like, oh, I knew I can get wet for him again. Like it's okay now. I knew there's some good in him, not much. But
I love that where he doesn't where they kiss in the elevator and they come out like, it's between Raymond and I, and Charlie doesn't find out what happened in the elevator until they're with the doctor at the end. And he's like, it was wet. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
what's that say?
WAP versus wall, wet ass lips.
Yeah, like that's.
Which kind of can be the same thing still. But I thought it was funny that Tom Cruise legitimately wants to know what happened in that elevator. He does not find out until the doctor scene, and he's like, "You kissed her?"
Yeah, but that was their secret.
But the
oh no! Let's not forget last time he was in the house. Wherever Raymond pissed him off so much one time. He's like, "This guy's a freak." like he said,
"Freak." Yeah,
that's with me.
In Vegas still if you notice, that's the first time that Tom Cruise calls Raymond Rain Man. He's like, "Come on, Rain Man, let's play some cards." Like that piece of shit. Because Rain Man is what he called his imaginary best friend. And that is so subtle right there to let you know that he did not consider Raymond to be that best friend again until the point that he was making him $86,000.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's going to make this more organic when I say this. One of the things that you heard the floor general or the people, the eye in the sky in Vegas when they're watching a table when they're winning a lot of money. One of the guys says he doesn't have a computer, he's not catching a whole card, and there's no way anybody can count into 6 sticks. And what they mean by that is people who count cards, they usually count 1, 2, maybe 3 decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's based. Movie 21 is based off of the counting cards. Like 21 is a game that mathematically can be had. It's an algorithm that's like on the simplest form of the algorithm. There's only so many these face cards, this, that, and the other. So, like when they won their money, they were like, listen. They brought them to the room. It's a very important scene. It's a Vegas the scene. They bring them in there like, listen. There's no legal law against what you did, but we know what you did and we didn't told everybody else. So if you're still playing the odds, just take your money and go.
Yeah.
Not like we finna take this shit back. Like if we see you again, like we have to handle it the other way, which we would want to really handle it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really crazy to me. But it showed. My point is, it showed how smart the autistic savant was, because you can't just say somebody else is an autistic savant. But all throughout the movie, they did that with the matchsticks.
Yeah.
With the when he just that's Charlie starting to realize, how can I use this mother.
Mm-hmm.
When he was doing stop doing that with the, and then they're in the restaurant, the diner.
Songs, yeah.
He said, oh, we're really junior. It's junior, yeah, D5, D5, Johnny 5. Yeah, it's crazy, but I like it.
My last point is also it's in the Vegas scene. I thought it was a tender moment when they're learning, when he's teaching Raymond to dance, and what I liked about that was that was the first time that there was like physical contact between them, and he tried to push it a little more and wanted a hug. He's like, "You want to hug me, Ray?" And he tries to hug and immediately flips out. But he, at least in that moment, like even Vern said, he won't even let me touch. He won't even let me touch him. But
There's something about Mary thing. Hey, Warren, the baseball right behind you.
Oh, yeah.
You go crazy, crazy in that.
But he held Tom Cruise's hand. He let Tom Cruise put his hand around his back.
Gradually.
And you feel, and they did it so well, because when Tom Cruise asks for the hug, you want it to happen so bad. You just want these brothers to hug it out so badly. You feel, and like, I don't know, I thought it was a telling moment for Tom Cruise's character that he requested the hug. Not only requested it, but asked permission. And this is the same Charlie that back in the room at Walbrook, Vern's telling him he's doing Who's on First, because that's how he deals with you being nervous that you're touching all of his stuff. And what does Charlie do? He keeps touching all of his shit. He doesn't even care. He pays no mind to what's bothering Charlie. But in that moment, or what's bothering Raymond, but in that moment where they're dancing, he was actually considerate. It's like, you want to give me a hug?
Thank me later for this. I'm going to end. It's going to take me, hopefully, only 2.5 minutes to say this, and these are both worth it. I'm just going to jump right into it. These are my top 2 scenes of this entire film for different reasons than you would think. There's a scene that... I remember before we started recording, you said that you had a scene that you hoped that I didn't have. Yes.
So that is the case.
I think you touched on it. You were close to where I was going with, but before I get to that one, there's a scene... That's what she said. Oh, there, now we're in sync. There's a scene at the end of the film to where there's a doctor at the beginning that was a trustee. There's Charlie. There's Raymond, and there's this new guy who he's just he's here to recommend what should happen, but he tells them they're not in court. There is a scene. It's very.
Are you talking about the end of the film?
Yeah.
You know that doctor is Barry Levinson.
This is even better than Barry. I caught you. Maybe somebody else has caught this, but I know I caught you.
Oh, I'm excited.
There's a part of the film, go back and watch whenever you get a chance, to where I was wondering why they kept it in, some slick little synonym, but I'm not going to keep you waiting. There's a scene at the end when they're talking, and then Barry Levinson's character said, I'm not here holding, there's no accusations, and then you see Cruz's character looked at him like, I know you up. He said, no accusations. He says that, and it's like, hold up, no, that's not that. I got you. I went back and looked at it like 3 times. It's like, no, you up the line.
That goes back to what David McGifford talks about in the interview, that Barry Levinson was the kind of director. It's like, that's good enough. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, when he's on camera, it's probably like, people mess up words all the time. Let's move on.
I wanted him to do that.
Yeah.
Like, no, you didn't. You f***er. But go when you get a chance, please go back and just watch those 3 seconds. It's a movie, man. This motherfucker says there's no accusations. She's like, No accusations.
You know what? I got one more scene. I
Oh,
forgot
here
I
we
carried
go.
it over to this page. So
Uh-oh.
you have one more too, right?
Yeah, D1.
Okay, so
D1.
oh my God, look the doctor scene at the end.
Oh, wow, you found it, huh?
I just thought that scene was very. I thought
Pulitzer Prize. He's railroading me over here.
I thought it was awesome because the doctor pretty much spells it out what actually happened. He says, "Oh, so last week you were upset over, not getting your money and that's all you cared about, but in the course of 7 days you're telling us you had a change of heart and want to care for him for the rest of your life." And Tom Cruise says, "Yes." And that is like, and then like
He made you believe it.
yeah, well, what really sold it is when seeing you're watching him plea for his brother, and at this point he has nothing to gain.
And he gave the
Only his brother.
$250,000 back.
Yeah, and he's doing this thinking that there was a connection made, and then there's that heartbreaking moment where do you want to go back to Walbrook? Yeah. Do you want to stay with Charlie? Yeah. And he gets to the point where he's the doctor is beating him down so hard that for the first time, Charlie, who is usually the one berating him and making him uncomfortable, putting him in a corner, he stops it, and he not only stops it, but he stops it at his own demise. He concedes and gives up on even trying to win this fight purely for the sake of not having to watch his brother sit there and be humiliated again. Like, you don't have to humiliate him. And then the tip of the iceberg is when the doctors leave the room and it's just it's just Charlie and Raymond sitting there. So there's no show here. He's not putting on any airs. This is the first selfless moment. He says, "I like having you for my brother. I really like having you as my big brother." And he really means that because he's talking. It's just him and his autistic brother. So there's nothing for him to gain in that other than that's how he feels and he wanted to say it. So that was like the ultimate redemption for Charlie.
I can't even say that you're wrong about that. I definitely think that it was a moment of a moment that I can say that again that transcends like a normal film into something that's more of like, especially with the dialogue.
All right, what was your number one scene?
And here we go, number one, and we're gonna end it with this. It was and I said you touched on it earlier. To me, it was when Dustin's Hoffman character Raymond at the end. It was the first time ever where he initiated contact with Charlie. And he put his head on him, and it showed like anytime somebody made contact with him throughout the film, he went crazy when it was like for pain and all this other stuff. But to me, it was that moment that he said he accepted you in his life, his world of Vern, his world of Wapner, his world of his. That's the best that it was going to be. That moment there was the best. That was, if you wanted a goodbye ending, then for you it should have been fade to black right there.
Yeah.
But the film went on and reality happened. This is one of those times like you glad they just didn't wrap it up right. Like, no, like, oh yeah, they went on and lived. No, he went back. He went back, and now he's like, I'm gonna come visit you, and you don't know. They just leave hope. So to me, that was that was very emotional. I loved it.
Like, you could take any sex scene. You could take Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet sweatily going at it on the Titanic. Take any physical scene that you could think of and put it up against that moment. That is such a emotionally charged moment, and like physical contact. It was just so powerful because it was like I don't want to call it foreplay about two brothers, but there was all of this foreplay up until that moment where you were longing for that physical contact to happen, and it's just the lightest little thing. And
when it happens, it's a moment. Like I say, just a moment of serenity, and like I said, them two meeting at that moment. So
yeah,
that's my top moment of the film.
All right, those are our favorite scenes in Rayman. Let us know what your favorite scenes were in the comments. Find us in all these links that's coming up right now.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.